Discussion on prevention of rheumatic fever. Prevention of rheumatic fever can be approached at three levels. 1. Primordial prevention. 2. Primary prevention. 3. Secondary prevention. Please subscribe to this channel for future updates. Click on the subscribe button. Press the bell icon after that for all updates. Primordial prevention is preventing the development of risk factors in the community to prevent the disease in the population and thus protect individuals. Improvement in socio-economic status, prevention of overcrowding, prevention of undernutrition and malnutrition, availability of prompt medical care and public education regarding the risk of rheumatic fever from sore throat, especially below the age of 15 years, are the measures for primordial prevention. Primary prevention of rheumatic fever is theoretically feasible, but practically almost impossible to achieve at the community level. It can be practiced on an individual basis by identification of group A beta hemolytic streptococcal sore throat and use of penicillin to eradicate the streptococci from the throat. Improving public awareness regarding danger of rheumatic fever from sore throat, identification of sore throat as being streptococcal, and use of injectable penicillin to cure the streptococcal infection are the measures which are likely to be useful. Primary prevention is difficult to achieve because of the following factors. Only 3 to 20% of sore throats are streptococcal in origin. Of these, only 0.3 to 3% result in rheumatic fever. If 10,000 sore throats are treated, of which 300 to 2000 will be streptococcal, it will prevent rheumatic fever in 1 to 6 children. Hence, primary prevention is not a feasible option at the community level. Primary prevention is quite difficult to achieve. Oral penicillin may not be effective in preventing rheumatic fever. Rheumatic fever occurred in 15 to 48% of children given oral penicillin for 10 days in a US epidemic. 400,000 units of procaine penicillin twice daily for 10 days may be needed. Group A beta hemolytic streptococci are uniformly sensitive to penicillin, but penicillin is effective only on rapidly multiplying bacteria. After rapid division, group A beta hemolytic streptococci may reach a stationary phase due to limited nutrients in the local milieu. This can lead to a relative resistance to penicillin. Secondary prevention of rheumatic fever is the only viable preventive strategy. Options are Pensathine penicillin G 1.2 million units every 4 weeks administered intramuscularly. In high-risk situations, administration every 3 weeks is justified and recommended. Or penicillin V 250 mg twice daily orally. Or sulfadiazine 0.5 gram once daily for patients less than 27 kg orally, 1 gram once daily for patients more than 27 kg. For individuals allergic to penicillin and sulfadiazine, erythromycin 250 mg twice daily orally. American Heart Association recommended duration for secondary prevention of rheumatic fever are as follows. Rheumatic fever with carditis and residual heart disease for at least 10 years since the last episode and at least until age 40 years, sometimes lifelong prophylaxis. Rheumatic fever with carditis but no residual heart disease, no valvular disease, clinical or echocardiographic evidence. 10 years or 21 years, whichever is longer. Rheumatic fever without carditis, 5 years or until 21 years of age, whichever is longer. Before stopping prophylaxis, an individual's risk of exposure to streptococcal infection should be considered. Teachers, parents of young children, and healthcare providers are at higher risk. Poor housing condition and overcrowding increase the risk of transmission of streptococcal infections. Hence, there is a variation in the duration of prophylaxis recommended by different countries. Pensathine penicillin injection is the cornerstone of secondary prevention of rheumatic fever. But adverse reactions in patients with advanced disease and difficulties in procurement are important challenges. Rationale for secondary prophylaxis in rheumatic fever. In an epidemic of streptococcal infection, 3% develop rheumatic fever, while in an endemic infection, only 0.3% develop rheumatic fever. In an episode of rheumatic fever, 42% develop carditis while 58% do not. Of those with carditis, 66% develop residual rheumatic heart disease. This would mean that more than a quarter of those who develop rheumatic fever can end up with residual rheumatic heart disease. In those without obvious carditis initially, up to 8% may manifest heart disease later. In individuals with a previous history of rheumatic fever, 60% develops a recurrence of rheumatic fever with a second streptococcal infection. Of those with a previous rheumatic carditis, 72% develops carditis during the recurrent episode, while 29% do not. In those without carditis in the initial episode of rheumatic fever, only 7% develop carditis in the recurrent episode, while 93% do not. The high recurrence of rheumatic fever and carditis with recurrent streptococcal infection is the basis for secondary prophylaxis of rheumatic fever with penicillin. Fortunately, group A beta hemolytic streptococci, which cause rheumatic fever, has not developed resistance to penicillin except for the Eagle effect. Hence, it is possible to prevent rheumatic fever by giving penicillin prophylaxis. Search for an effective anti-streptococcal vaccine has been going on for decades. Still, there is no vaccine which has been approved for human use. It is well known that school children are more affected by streptococcal infections than adults. This is because adults acquire some protection due to repeated infections in childhood and accumulation of protective antibodies against type-specific regions of M protein or conserved M epitopes. Conserved antigens are antigens shared by most or all serotypes. M protein cross-reacts with the myocardium, and hence an M protein based vaccine for prevention of rheumatic fever may not be safe. It may trigger an autoimmune response and lead to exactly the same disease it is meant to prevent, that is acute rheumatic fever with carditis. M protein is strain specific and strains may vary from place to place. Mutations can occur in weeks, making the anti-streptococcal vaccine ineffective. Hence, an effective anti-streptococcal vaccine for prevention of rheumatic fever is difficult to develop. Another obstacle is that rheumatic fever occurs mainly in the underprivileged world. Hence, it may be difficult to recover the huge cost of vaccine development even if one is developed. Here is an important journal reference. Second set of references are here. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel for future updates and click on the bell icon for all updates. Thank you.